All right. Welcome, everyone. First of all, I'm really glad you're here at our today's second use case of the month webinar. Glad you had time to join. Short introduction from me. First, I'm Michele, marketing manager at Takedas, and will be your moderator today's use cases of the month webinar. And what we will discuss today, or what you will be shown today, are first-hand authentic use cases that we received over the last months and some period longer from our actual customers. So we receive via our support different questions that our support team answers and helps our customers day in and day out. And we've collected some of those questions to demonstrate you today. And so feel free to ask any questions to our support regarding our apps. They are really determined to help you and with any questions you have. And who knows, maybe sometimes in the future, your question will be in the use case of the month's webinar as well and help others. And before we get started properly, just one more thing for me. Please feel free to ask the questions immediately if they come up in your mind in the Q&A section here in Microsoft Teams. At the end, we will have some time to answer your questions and to go through them. And if we don't have enough time to answer them all, go still ahead, ask them anyways. We will get in touch with you afterwards to answer them. So feel free to just ask anything in the Q&A section or via support. And that's basically it from my side. Now, my colleague Nicholas is going to take over, who's going to show you the proper use case webinar. Have fun.
Thanks, Michele. And hello also from my side. I will now share my screen and let's continue with the webinar. So first of all, to the topic again, we've collected several use cases from Jira Workflow Toolbox, and we are now having a look into the post functions of this app. And yeah, short introduction to me. I'm Nicholas Witt. I'm Atlassian Solutions Consultant, and I've been working for Takedas for almost 3 years. And for the same period of time, I'm dealing with the Atlassian products on data center and cloud, as well as our apps. So to first give you a short teaser, what we are going to look today, enjoy this introduction video. All right, our plan for today is first of all a short introduction into Jira Workflow Toolbox and its features, and then I will continue with the 3 use cases I've prepared. And yeah, let's start with that introduction. Jira Workflow Toolbox levels up your workflows so you can unleash a top-rated workflow extension app on the Atlassian Marketplace and tailor your workflows to eliminate repetitive tasks. The app provides a strong provides strong expressions to access issue data, including external app fields, and helps to apply functions and logics to fulfill your automations when you need them. We have conditions and validators to restrict and enhance your workflows, and finally the post functions to execute automations to save time and improve your overall workflow efficiency, which is our focus of today. Shortly introduce how we go through these demo use cases. First introduce the requirements that are from our customers or anybody who requested issues on our support portal. Then we have a look at the solution, how this looks like, take a look at the technical implementation, and then sum it up to give you the most valuable takeaways. Okay, the first use case is inherit fields from the epic. It is a post function to update the fields, and the customer's requirement was to enhance the process for a smoother create transition. And the requirement was to copy certain fields from an epic to an issue that is created underneath. And to explore these steps, we start with an existing epic, and then we create an issue underneath. And the workflow magic will happen, means that like these specific fields we've configured are now inherited and like copied to this issue that is created underneath that epic. The problems we faced while implementing is that on a default instance of Jira, you don't have any dynamic access to epic fields or parent fields. You had to implement multiple post functions and not only a single one if you want to inherit or copy multiple fields. As well as most of the fields were completely unavailable. And this solution was designed to give you the power of effortless copy important epic fields when you create a new issue. And the result is a seamless transfer of data, less manual tasks, and the workflow that just makes sense. Let's have a look at the first prepared scenario. I will now demonstrate the first use case, which covers the update field post function by Jira Workflow Toolbox. This could help you streamline, for example, an OKR planning process. Let's check out this objective here, which is created as an epic. It holds several fields like a description, the assignee is set, and let's modify the labels and add the demo label to it. We can close this issue and create a new issue from the create screen. So key result 2, as a summary, we select the epic link objective for Q3. We provide a description. And these are all the fields we need. So I create this issue and we take a look also at this one. And we see the description field is kept and the epic description was taken over from the original parent or from the parent issue, as well as the assignee and the labels field. Let's go back to the epic. And from this view, from this issue view, we can also create another issue, which is then key result 3, this time without the description. And let's have a look at this issue as well. So the description is empty, and also here the epic description was like inherited from its parent and the other fields too. So this is how the update field post function helps you to save time with repetitive tasks and reduces the risks of errors or missing fields. All right, let's recap that again. The steps to implement this post function is you start from the workflow, go to the create transition and add a new post function, which is the update field post function by Jira Workflow Toolbox, and then simply configure the fields you want to edit or inherit. Depends on the requirements. You configure a conditional execution, as you see it on the right side of the screen, and then you implement this post function. So next up, there are also some advantages. Like the setup of the process is straightforward, which saves you time and hassle. You have one single post function that can handle multiple field updates and simplifies your workflow. And you can like easily dynamic access from like parent fields or epic fields. But keep in mind that an incorrect configuration might lead to field overrides. So caution while configuring and updating your workflow. Let's take a look at the configuration itself. So I will show you the next video. So let's see how this post function is implemented in the workflow. I will click the create transition and open the post functions in a new tab. Here you see which post functions are implemented. And we go through this again from the beginning. I will select add a new post function, click on this update field post function here, and let's start with the configuration. First of all, we have the current field, the current issue selected in this target issue field. And as fields that we want to inherit is in the first step, the assignee field. So we use that field, click here on set field value manually to get the expression parser, search for the assignee again, and click here on parent assignee. This inherits the value from the parent. Do the same thing for the labels. So select label, select expression parser, search for labels, and again the parents labels. And next up we want the description field to be inherited, but not into the issues description. We have a separate field which is called epic description. So I'll select it here, go into the expression parser, search for description, and again click on parents description. This is now completely set up. And as a final step, we want to make sure that this post function is only executed if we have an issue underneath an epic. So we go to the conditional execution, and we can use a function that counts. And inside of that, we use another function that returns a list of epics. And this will be compared to the value 1, because the list of epics is summed up, and the return of this must be 1 if we have an issue underneath an epic. If you need help, you can easily click on the question mark to find all the functions, and we can now test this against our issue. So we have this issue already selected, which is underneath an epic. So if I hit run, the expression will be evaluated and it will return true, because the number of epics that are found underneath this is 1. So this makes sure that our post function will be executed. I will add this post function, and then we can take a look at the previous implemented one, where it's a minor difference due to that condition at the end. We have here that count of epic is equal to 1, and on the previous implemented, we use a toString function that surrounds the epic function, and this must be not null to ensure that an epic is there. Okay, let's sum it all up. And the key takeaways for the update field post function are that you have a persistent data throughout your Jira instance, because it got automatically inherited. It was effortless to set up and configure that solution, and automative tasks. You can automate repetitive tasks by using these post functions to boost your efficiency. Let's continue with the second use case. And this time the customer requirements was to use an asset field-based, an asset field that stores multiple objects. So we used an issue that holds multiple asset objects in a field. Then we trigger that transition from that main issue, which results in creating multiple issues or subtasks underneath this using these asset object data fields. The problems we found by implementing was, first of all, that how do you create an issue using a post function in a blank instance without any third-party apps? Well, that's not possible. And also to access and process the process dynamic fields with asset data is also not given. And the final problem was creating multiple issues with personalized content all at once is not possible with Jira standard. So the implementation was made, and here you see the result.
Okay, let's talk about the second use case, which covers the create issue post function. First of all, I will create a new task, calling it organize catering. And the key requirement for this use case was to work with a multi-select assets object field. So I will select 3 of these tourist centers here, which we want to use to create subtasks. So I'll create this task, and to achieve this, we open it, go to this drop-down actions, which shows the self-reflecting transitions, where we build in that create issue post function. And this automation ensures that all of the subtasks are generated and consistent. So if I close this issue here and reload the board, we see that all of these subtasks were created and follow exactly the same structure that we have provided in that post function. It uses the name and then adds the summary of the parent issue.
All right. To have a look at the solution in detail, the implementation of this post function in the workflow is similar to the previous one, and the advantages are also easy configuration. Like it's straightforward if you're familiar with the functions. It's simple to manipulate text, like add the original issue summary to the from the parent to every subtask summary, and you can configure one post function to like add or create multiple post functions all at once. Here on the right side, you see the configuration that we set up, and let's dive into how you implement this.
Let's check this global transition to create subtasks from asset objects. I will open the post functions in a new tab, and we take a look at this pre-configured post function. This is set up as a create issue post function, and the mode we used is multiple issues based on text list, because we have a text as an input and want to create multiple issues. It will create a map of the IDs for that custom field, which reads out the asset objects as a Jira expression, and then turns it into a string list. We select the issue type, so subtask, and create these underneath the parent of the current issue we are then watching, or we are triggering that post function from. As a summary, we use the getMatchingValue function and use that seed.text input we get from that list above, compare it with that first array, and look it up in the next array. So if we have as an input 5, it's the Tivoli Echo Resort. If it's 14, it is the Infinite Blue Resort. And as an extension, we use the issue summary of the parent issue, or the issue we are triggering this post function from. This is how the summary will be created. As we don't set up any other fields or description, this is not really relevant, and also there's no conditional execution. So this is basically how we create multiple issues from a text list or any dynamic input from another field or whatever.
Okay, the key takeaways from this post function are consistent task creation, that all of the issues that create underneath a main issue or a parent issue follow the same structure, that you have a consistent work package all over your instance. It reduces the time costs for repetitive tasks, and it's possible to access asset fields. Let's have a look at the final use case. This one is about transitioning issues, and our customer requested for transitioning a certain type of issue issue, or like certain type of issues to done by following the parent. So if you are done with a main task and some open tasks, like subtasks, are still there on the board, these should be moved automatically to done. So this post function was implemented. And the problems we faced were that there is no transition issue post function in a standard Jira, and there are also no validators or conditions to check for subtasks. Let's have a look at how this post function does its job.
Let me now demonstrate you also the use case number 3 to show you the transition issue post function. I will create another subtask underneath this issue, just like that. Call it text reduction, and go back to the board and adjust some of the statuses. After that, I will open this issue and let my colleagues know via comment that we collected all the evidence, that we can close this issue. So I will select done status here, and this automation ensures that all the unnecessary tasks will be closed and the boards will be clean. So you see the subtask got closed, and when I go back to the board, everything's cleaned up. Let me now demonstrate.
All right. The solution of this post function is also implemented in the workflow as mentioned before. And the advantages are, again, an easy to set up post function that can transition issues to a destination status. And the status changes can affect other issue types or selected issues with an expression. To now have a look at the configuration of this post function, let's head over to the next slide.
From the workflow, I will open the post functions towards the done status to show you how to implement the transition issue post function. We will create a similar post function from scratch, and I will simply add a new post function, transition issue, and edit. To start the configuration, we change the target issue from current issue to parser expression and go inside of the expression parser directly to the help menu by clicking the question mark. And here we search for filter by and open up that filter by issue type. Here we just simply click that button to copy that expression, paste it into the expression parser, and now we can adjust it. The subtasks that are selected are correct, so we just need to change the name to text task and adjusting the mode to transition to status and select our final status done. As a last step, we add a conditional execution by using the fields dropdown, searching for issue type. We add this to the expression and say it's equal to text, and then we are done.
All right, back to our takeaways. This post function helps you to ensure that a uniform and accurate issue data is consistent over your projects. It helps you to save time and less manual tasks to do. And it also achieves an organized and clutter-free board or boards, which is also a good point for effective work with an effective work with Jira. So this is it from my side, and here are some helpful links to our documentations. On one hand side to the Jira workflow toolbox on cloud, as well as the on-premise. And on the other side, there's a link to our support portal, and my colleague Michele will share it in the chat that you have access to it. And and now it's time for your questions, so feel free to ask.
All right, let me take over, Nicholas. Thank you very much, first of all, for the input and the great use cases you presented. And yeah, as Nicholas said, feel free to drop any questions into Q&A. And if it might be, I don't know, a rather difficult one to write, I can also unmute you for the time that you can just ask the question that you have, and we'll be able to answer it. But we already had a question which Raphael asked at the beginning, which was not really a question, but let's say a suggestion, a feature request. And I thought about it. I think we might be able to solve it, but let's ask Nicholas. So basically, Raphael wants to add or remove a user from a specific group via post function. And my first idea or reaction, I think we're already able to do that with a remote and with the execute remote action post function. Is it right, Nicholas?
Yes, actually that's correct. Like the newest post function we released recently is the execute remote post function, which allows you to use the Jira API to trigger on your own instance, as well as any other software systems that you reach via the internet and has an API. So this might be possible with this execute remote action post function. Yeah.
Okay, and that works on both hosting options on cloud as well as DC, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, great. So Raphael, you can just go ahead and look at the documentation of our execute remote action post function, which we published not long ago, and you'll be able to just add and remove any users from a group. So great. What about the data center? Are they the same in DC? Nicholas? So I think, not to grab ahead, I think every use case you showed is also manageable in DC, right?
Yes, of course. I mean, we took a look primarily at use cases from the cloud from the cloud version, but all use cases can also be used as in the data center version, and we have there several more options as post function and validators to use.
Okay, yeah. So Hussein, as you can see, everything you've seen here today is we've shown on cloud, but they're also manageable or accessible on DC. And I'm pretty sure that we will focus in any of our upcoming use cases of the month on a DC JWT presentation as well, or other apps from ours. So be sure that we will show also DC focused topics in the future.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other questions? I think we had a great overview over what JWT can offer you, but to be honest, JWT is such an impressive and powerful tool that there are like millions of other use cases thinkable that can help your company to work more efficiently.
Yeah. Any further questions? Otherwise, as already told, please contact us in our support portal.
Sure. Any questions you might have, contact us via support portal. And yeah, if we keep looking in the future. So as I said at the beginning, the use cases of the month webinar will be a recurring event where we will show several use cases from different apps of ours. So we've started with JWT, our most renowned app and the best valued, best rated app on the marketplace. And in the future, so next month in September, we're going to concentrate on smart fields. And so just a sneak peek, we're going to show you the usage of power and power of variables. So we can use variables in your smart fields app and your fields at the end of the day, and how to use dynamic calculations of different item key values. So just a sneak peek. And again, Hussein, for you, all these use cases we're going to show next month are also manageable, or you can also use in JWT on-prem with the dynamic fields. So I think if you're interested in dynamic fields and the usage of, or how you could use dynamic fields in your company, the next webinar in September will be just the right thing for you to join and have a look. All right, then our 30 minutes are officially over. Thank you very much for the reaction today. And yeah, thank you very much for joining in. Have a great day. Have a great morning from wherever you're looking at the webinar now. And yes, so we will send the webinar, the recording tomorrow. So at least on Friday, at the latest on Friday, you'll have it. But yeah, thanks again, and hope to see you again.
Yeah, thank you and goodbye.
Bye-bye.